Alright guys, today I want to share some tips and tricks that I've learned for dealing with suppliers, particularly in China when you're ordering your products from Amazon. As you probably know, there's always room for negotiation. What you see on, for example, Alibaba or AliExpress, wherever you happen to be shopping for your products, they will show you a certain price. That price is always negotiable. So just understand how to speak their language, and you'll see that negotiation isn't as difficult as it may seem. Now, one trick that I've found out that works really well, and hopefully you can apply it as well, is asking for a tiered price. That is asking, for example, how much would it cost if I bought 200 units, if I bought 500 units, or if I bought 1,000 units? And they will proceed to give you a price, individual unit price for each of those different tiers. And then you kind of know where you have room to play between the different tiers. So you might say, well, okay, can you give me, instead of 250, give me 300 units, for the price that you would normally sell 500 units. And sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes they'll come back to you and maybe give you a little bit of a counter offer. So it's a good way, a good practice to negotiate your pricing. Now, the other thing to really keep in mind, and this I learned the hard way on more than one occasion, is really, especially if you're dealing with China, know your Chinese holidays, get a calendar, write down all of the different holidays on the calendar, because let me tell you, it really, really sucks when you have everything set up and you're ready to go and you want to place your order and your supplier is not responding and you don't know why. And it turns out they're on holiday for a week or 2 weeks. And with Chinese New Year around the corner, I'm sure I'm not the only one that may have run into this issue once before. So know your Chinese holidays. Ask for different types of options based on private labeling. You may be ordering for the first time and maybe you don't have enough units. Maybe you're placing an order of 100 units, or maybe you've negotiated to like 250 units or something like that. In which case, very often they'll tell you that's not enough units to custom the packaging or whatever it is, to put a logo on it. And that may be the case for your product. Now, if your product comes in a box or something along those lines which you can label, one of the tricks that I've found is to say, okay, well, I'm only going to order 300 units on this first order because I want to test the product and feel the market. But I'd like to order 1,000 boxes. So they'll, print and produce 1,000 boxes, and you can ask them to keep the rest of the boxes there if you're fairly confident that you're going to continue with this. And then you order your 300 units or so, and the other 700 boxes stay at the supplier for your next order. So that's a neat little trick, which tends to work. The other thing is get your bank details in order. That I can't stress enough. Most of these suppliers, they won't be too PayPal friendly. They might be on the first order, but when you're placing an order of 500 units, 1,000 units, they're not going to want to deal with PayPal and the 5% fee that they charge. So in many cases, they're going to ask for a wire. That's fine. Just make sure your payment conditions are set up in a way that makes sense. Don't pay the whole thing up front. I would try to negotiate, if you could do 40-60 or 30-70 or something like that, where you pay, a little deposit up front and then the rest once everything's produced. One way or another, though, you're going to need to send them money before they start their work. And one of the things that I didn't do was I didn't set up my business bank account to do wire transfers right away, and that was a mistake. It took 2 weeks to get that rolling, and I came really close on this last order to landing on Chinese New Year. So keep that in mind. And lastly, always get an inspection. Unless you're ordering like maybe 10 units or something like that, and it's really a small, like, sort of sample order, that's fine. But if you're going to order north of 100 units, it's worth getting an inspection, especially for products that are particular. In my case, my product retails between $60 to $100. So, you know, to find one defective unit makes it worth the inspection, the cost of the inspection. So definitely I'd recommend looking into it. There are plenty of companies that do it. They're very flexible. They give you detailed reports. You know, it's a really good way to keep things in line and keep your supplier in check if you can't happen to go to China yourself and inspect it. So those are my 5 tips for how to deal with suppliers. Let me know what you think in the comments, and looking forward to sharing more of these useful tips on Amazon.